All right, whatever. Good enough.
Yep.
Chaz Smith, we're back at live and in person at Album Surfboards.
Album Surfboards. I was just out there perusing the racks. That Matt Parker makes a pretty surfboard.
It's a mad scientist.
He is crazy town. He's crazy with what he does. I didn't even know what I was looking at half the time out there. So many new shapes.
I wish we could better display the surfboards in our video, in this podcast video.
Yep.
The funny thing is, in this room, there's always 12 boards, at least, just off camera. We could take the time just to stack them behind us so that they're in camera, but I'm always afraid that it's going to fall over.
They're stinking pieces of art.
I don't want to touch it and then be responsible for it.
But you know what people can do? Any one of our listeners in the greater, I'm even going to say the greater Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego County area. That's a lot of people right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Swing on by. It's real easy. Right off the 5, exit Pico, depending on which way you're going, north or south, take a left or right. Go down, hang a left on, is this the PCH we're on here?
El Camino Real.
El Camino Real, and you're basically right there.
Yep.
You're at Album Surfboards.
I think they've got shops in Australia too.
Yeah, go there too.
Go there too.
Yeah.
And the board. So, are you going to get a new board?
I want to.
Okay. The black one that you were holding, I think it might be the Bomdia.
Oh, what is the Bomdia?
The Victor Bernardo's board. It's an asymmetrical.
What's it for? What kind of waves?
Great question. Ripping.
Yeah, like
the waves that you surf.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Southern California. I've seen him riding it at lowers a lot, but beach breaks too.
Perfect.
And it was actually designed, interestingly, for Kelly Slater for the electric acid surfboard test.
Oh.
And then Kelly's brand that he owns kind of advised against it. You know, like, hey, man, you shouldn't go compete in that thing that's advertising other board brands.
Kelly.
So Kelly backed out after the boards were made.
Kelly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty rude, to be honest, because the whole point, everybody who does the electric acid surf or any of those has a board sponsor.
But he owns the company.
That's true. But even more so, like, nothing says I don't really believe in my product, like really going out and being afraid to test other products, right? Like, he should be so confident in KS surfboards. What are they even called again?
Slater Designs.
Slater Designs. He should be so confident in Slater Designs that he can say, look, my boards, they sell themselves, man. I don't need to go market it. I can go ride all kinds of stuff. I can hand out awards to other people for their great design. I could recognize and acknowledge the work being done out there.
Yeah.
Because I just know mine are the best in class.
Yes.
They're not, by the way. Have you ever ridden to Slater Designs?
Well, no, I haven't. But I was going to say they're not, by the way, also because we watch him ride other boards in contests and then win on those other boards.
And then when he paints his black Slater Design stripe down the middle.
Yeah, or which is interesting because what he's doing in those contests is exactly what he was going to be doing in the electric acid surfboard test.
Yes.
Like, we all know that you ride other boards, and I think that his feedback or argument against that is I'm R&D'ing these boards. You know, I ride the Aquila IPA at Karamas, get my best, kind of put in my best performance of the season, and then the Aquila IPA becomes part of Slater Designs.
You know what Kelly would have done best? What would have been on brand for Kelly Slater? Just done that for the electric acid surfboard test is paint them all with the black stripe down the middle, call them all Slater Designs, and then Slater Designs wins. Like, every one of those boards is a Slater Design by a different shaper.
Smart.
Because other people shape for Slater Designs, right? I mean, doesn't Dan Mann shape?
Yeah.
Who else shapes?
Tomo?
Yeah, exactly. It's
does
not
Tomo?
What?
Does Tomo?
I think he did.
He did, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
But in any case, there's more than one shaper, right? It's not just Slater Designs by Slater Designs. It is, you can get yourself a name brand shaper.
Totally.
Shaping for a Slater Design board. So why not just do that, Kelly?
I know. Well, and I also think what irks me about him pulling out is, like, the surf community and these projects are kind of greater than the business itself.
Sure.
Like, yeah, everybody's got businesses, but honestly, this project is just very interesting, and it's a contribution back to the surf space that we all want to see, and we're all going to get edified by how you talk about these various things.
Because Kelly is, like, I mean, second to none when it comes to, like, board design talk. Like, I love when he's on WSL Webcast talking board tech.
For sure. So he would have been the best test pilot for that thing. And so it's kind of like, you know what, put the business interests aside right now because this is for the greater good.
Well, really. And I mean, let's just keep piling on here. If Kelly can talk about Slater designs, it gives a perfect place for him to talk about his own boards while he's talking about other boards, right? Who's going to go watch that and think, I was really going to buy a Slater designs, but
I know
now I'm going to go buy a Mayhem or a album.
So often when we come to a little crux in how to manage business with the podcast or in the surf world or whatever, a lot of people advise, just don't do that. Almost every single time I think about it and I go, there's a way to solve for this.
Sure.
There's a way for everybody to win, and that would have been the way for Kelly. Like, yeah, this is a crux and it doesn't make sense right on first blush. However, this is a platform for me to just talk endlessly about Slater designs,
I think you and I mean, Trust in Us is a great segment, and I think we are 100% accurate on life advice. I think people could or should hire us to be business consultants as well.
I agree.
I think we should set up a whole separate email address, businessconsultants@
I agree.
beachgrit or surfsplendor.com.
Yep.
And you can email. I think we'd be reasonable price wise, don't you?
Yes, because I hear those guys charge a ton.
Yeah.
And so we'll come in below that.
Yeah.
It's still great.
We will kneecap our competition just by being lower cost.
I should just save this thought and form it into a barrel or nod for a future show or something. But business consultancy is got to be the biggest scam, I think. Like I've known a couple different dudes throughout my life. And it's like, oh no, I just sit on a board. I sit on 3 or 4 boards and then I consult over here and over there. The guys never work. They play golf. They travel the world and they basically get paid, let's say $80,000 per thing.
Yeah.
And they've got like 8 of them.
If somebody came to you and said, hey, podcast Empire consultant, I'd like to offer you my services, what would you say?
Yeah, it depends how involved you want me to be, but yeah, absolutely.
No, they were coming to you. They wanted to consult your business.
So I have to pay them?
Yeah.
No, I'm not interested.
What if they're like, what if Joe Rogan's person came over and said, hey, for a couple grand a month, I'll consult.
Can't afford it.
What if he said would you be interested at all in any major podcast person, like what they would have to say about podcasting? Or do you think I know it all already?
I don't know it all already. Here's what I know, or I feel comfortable saying that I know, is producing a show for our audience.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. More so than I'm even fine hosting a show.
Yeah.
What I would take that consulting advice on is disseminating it out to an audience or to the audience that hasn't yet found the show. Okay. So growing the show. Absolutely. I could use help with social media and working the algorithms and SEO and all that kind of stuff, because I just simply don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
And sure, now I can hire people to do that thing. I don't know if I need to hire a consultant or you could just hire the person to actually do the thing. But for me, it would just have to be an equation. It's just, how are you going to perform? And at the end of the month, if you charge me $2,000 and that brings in $4,000 worth of revenue, you're hired.
Yeah,
exactly. That's all it comes down to.
Great. Well, we're going to be less than that anyway, our business consultancy. So feel free to call in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Speaking of surfboards, we're giving away a surfboard this month.
I saw that's a pretty board.
It really is.
Yeah.
Gorgeous to look at. Thing looks like a Ferrari.
I mean, my goodness.
If you open the hood of a Ferrari, I would be so confused about what everything does. That's how I feel when you flip over a Fireball fish and look at the bottom.
I mean, I was thinking about it. Dennis Jarvis is an artist in his prime, by the way, like doing great work. But
mad scientist, actually.
Mad scientist. I look at those because it has a lot of channels, right? Mm-hmm. Multiple channels. I was trying to think if Dennis Jarvis put me in a room and he said, here's your blank. I need you to make it look like this.
It would end up looking like a Picasso painting.
How it would come out.
The nose would be over here.
Yeah. I mean, how does he make those channels and how are they perfect? It probably goes through a machine, right?
No, no, they're not.
What?
He does every board by hand. He said it takes him like 3 hours to make one of those.
What?
So,
and we're giving one away?
Yeah, and he's going to custom make it for a listener.
What in the world? How's that?
They tape them off. So they measure everything, put dots and lines, tape it all off, and then get a hand scrub. what am I thinking?
Yeah, planer.
Not a planer, a sanding block.
Okay.
Like a sanding block or like a soft
And just
one.
sand down to
Just
depth.
sand at an angle to depth.
How does he know how deep it needs to go?
That's the thing. They've all got to be slightly different, I would imagine. You can use calipers to like measure the depth.
Does he?
I'm sure he does, yeah. But still, if you're doing it by hand, you got to be slightly off, right?
I mean, but that's probably what makes it so good. Because you could have an honest to goodness magic board. Like what if accidentally a, whatever millimeter was the difference between this board going Mach 12 and this board bogging?
That was Tom Curran's reverse V. It was an accident.
Yeah.
The blank was glued up backwards for Maurice Cole, and he still used it. And so the amount of rocker that it had, I think, in the back, or that it was supposed to have in the back, was actually in the nose. But yeah, the greatest kind of things happen out of mistakes, design-wise.
Have you ever surfed a multi-channeled board like that?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
What do all those channels do? Is it speed? Is it speed? Is it power? Is it flow?
It is. Control,
Yeah.
because of the extra edges. It's also speed. The interesting thing about the Dennis Jarvis one is there's a step in the channels.
Yeah.
So that is totally radical. And then there's, I don't know if you saw this, but it's also textured when they finish it.
Yep.
He textures it, which he says creates little tiny air bubbles. Essentially, it creates lift.
Mad scientist.
I know, totally. But he said it's actually based off of boats. You see those speed boats that have those channels, and they're actually textured that way as well with the step. So it's just kind of pulling from people who have a lot more R&D money.
Nautical business.
Yeah, exactly. I'm having Dennis on the podcast, though. We're going to discuss it all. Have you ever met him or talked to him?
No, we've DM'd before, I do believe.
He's out of control.
Is he awesome?
Yeah.
Like
totally awesome, but just you can't get the guy to stop talking.
Great.
And like he's talking about something entirely different than you started talking about, and you've just like lost complete control. So it'll be an interesting podcast.
As host, when somebody is off the reservation, out of range, do you just let them go?
It depends who it is, but yeah, usually. And then I know I can always fix it in editing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this tangent, if it turns out to be not interesting at all, we can cut it out.
Did you watch the Dirty Water back in the day? I think it was a video one that we did with Peter Schroff.
I tried.
I
tried.
I loved sitting through that in real time. It was so, like, I know it was probably not enjoyable to any listener, but to me, I had a great time chatting with Schroff.
I've learned to embrace those people.
Yeah.
And really appreciate them and love them.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have like another meeting that you got to get to or anything like that where you're stressed out, But yeah, it's an interesting, he and Jarvis both are geniuses in a certain way.
Yes.
So
they are.
Yeah. So you can always, like, if you just throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, if you're just like, wow, this person's crazy, I don't want to hear him, you're going to miss a ton. So it's almost like, you know what, just go for the ride and enjoy, because there are pearls in here. The funniest thing to me about Schroff recently was he did the electric acid surfboard test on Stab, and they partnered him with Hayden because of their beef. And Schroff ended up becoming contrite. Like, he entered the conversation with an apology and kind of explained his side, and all of that was, I don't know, kind of good to see. But what was funny is they sensationalized the bit by leading. They put a trailer out and they led with Peter Schroff, just opened straight before the credits or anything, opens on Schroff, and he goes, "Why would I be involved in this? Well, if you're at an orgy, you don't want to just be masturbating in the corner. You want to go join the fun, right?" And then boom, Stabs graphics and all that. And I'm like, man, that's a great opening line. It's like, really, I want to watch now. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, Schroff has been beating off in the corner for the last 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy who hasn't been playing with anyone. And he's doing it in a Speedo with big leather boots on, like, to the beat of his own drum. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
I mean, so maybe he just got tired. Maybe he did. Finally, after all these years, after all these orgies, he thought, let's go in. Yeah.
His right arm was tired.
He should they should do not just the acid board test. That's what that one was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should do clothing versions and have Schroff go do something with Mark Price again.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's always bagging on Mark Price.
Yeah. I like it.
Smelly, and what is his nickname for Kelly Slater? Is Smelly, and what's Price?
I forget.
It's
been a couple years now.
He's got a good one. He's got a good nickname.
He lost his fervor for
fun
controversy. Yeah.
I think he got blown off Instagram.
Yeah.
And then, not that he would have cared, but then I think...
No, he did care. He said in that video piece that he it hurt his feelings and it hurt his business.
Okay.
So he was kind of like...
I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, which is also depressing because I'm like, dude, you didn't care. You're right. He didn't care. At a certain point, he didn't care. And that was his brand. And as soon as you care and apologize, it's like, dude, now it undermines the entire mission.
I mean, it's really true. It's like me going to talk to Eric Logan and just being a real sissy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of not being on the front foot. It's irks in that same way.
Yeah, it does. Because we were all kind of along for the ride on his side of that argument to a certain degree. Like we agreed with the philosophy of what he was saying, even if he was saying it incorrectly, we still believed in it. And it was nice to have a spokesperson who's really banging the drum and making a scene. But then when he puts the drum down and goes, oh no, my feelings are hurt and I don't really believe in it anymore. We're like, dude,
come on.
What bus do we get on now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just going to all get off the bus and walk separate directions.
It is so true.
Yeah.
Schroff.
Yeah. It's all right though. He's older and it's like, you just lose energy for that sort of
Drink a cup of concrete.
Yeah.
Harden up, Peter Schroff.
Well, Dennis Jarvis, Fireball Fish. We're giving it away.
How do people get it?
surfsplendorpodcast.com. We have a subscription platform set up for $5 a month. As opposed to, let's say, a freemium model where there's premium content that you can't see. No, you get everything. You do this out of the goodwill of your own heart to support our work. Listener supported. This is more like public radio model.
Thank you, listeners.
So we do have advertisers, but you can actually get the show without any ads on it if you want through giving us the $5 a month. That's the only benefit really, other than these surfboard giveaways. We just say, support our work, keep us independent.
I'll tell you though, the surfboard giveaway is worth it, the $5 in and of itself, I reckon.
Totally.
Chances are a lot better than that stinking Powerball $2 billion jackpot, California.
Did somebody win that?
Somebody won it.
One person?
I don't know. Might have been two.
Can you imagine?
But to be honest, I'd rather have a Dennis Jarvis surfboard than $2 billion.
I would not. But $2 million is absolutely going to ruin your life.
Yeah, $2 billion.
Did I say mil?
You said mil.
Oh, I meant million with a B.
Yeah, the million with a B would. Yeah, I mean, of course. I think we've discussed it on the show. The stats of suicides and busted families. Like, what do you do if you win that, knowing that money is cursed? What do you do with it?
You hire somebody to manage it.
Business consultant.
Hire us. No, you hire somebody to manage it, and you're only allocated, let's say, $300,000 a year.
But you're just going to be like jonesing for it.
Doesn't matter.
The problem is, it's cursed money, right? And so even if you got it all and you gave it away as quick as you could, you would be cursing everybody else who you're giving it to. You'd be like destroying organizations that you thought you loved.
Completely.
You'd give it to the YMCA and all the kids would get addicted to drugs.
Completely. I mean, actually, where did they win? I saw that there was a winner. Where was it? It was somewhere where there's no rich people at all.
It was Altadena.
Okay.
I think so, for this last one. Altadena, California.
Okay. Yeah, so my point is, it's not somebody who is like in Malibu, already, millionaire, understands how to manage money. This is somebody who's never seen
a dime,
presumably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it goes from like literal nothing to
everything.
And so I feel like I've talked about this before because I remember reading in some finance book at some point the difference between $1 million and $1 billion.
Yes.
And the way that they described it was in seconds. So 1 million seconds is 12 days.
Yeah. It's a long time.
12 days, 1 million seconds. Guess how much 1 billion seconds is?
A year?
32 years.
Whoa.
That's the difference between 1 million and a billion.
A billion. That is crazy.
I know. So 2 of those.
2 of those. And I think if they take the buyout, I think the buyout was 1.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You get 32 days.
It's unfathomable because to me, it's just, if you said $50 million versus $1 billion, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
You're rich either way. Yeah, that's great. No, it's nowhere near the same.
I mean,
12 days, 32 years.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Totally crazy.
I still want to drive a surfboard.
Me too. I want one too, actually. But anyways, surfsplendorpodcast.com. It's $5 a month. Click subscribe. You support our work, and you'll be automatically, anybody who's got that set up is automatically entered to win. So any donations that come in or subscriptions that come in the month of November are entered to win. So if you're already in, great. If not, you have until the end of November. We'll pick a winner December 1st, Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Florida Surf Film Festival is happening this weekend.
They're braving a hurricane, are they?
Yeah, they are. And Kevin Miller texted you and I on our way in and said that they've got the power on at the venue, and it is all systems go.
Great. So if you have tickets to the Florida Surf Film Festival, they're just outside of New Smyrna. What's the actual town it's in? Is it?
I thought it was New Smyrna.
Okay, sorry. In New Smyrna. Head on out. It is a phenomenal event. I'm going to say, the best surf-related events that I've been to, maybe even in my life.
I agree. It's a blast. It's a full weekend of events.
Yep.
And everybody comes out to it, like all the pros and certainly the local pros, but also people who are featured in the films, pro surfers and filmmakers, they're all there. This is... Oh, by the way, if you don't have tickets, you can still get tickets.
Are they still available? Usually it sells out.
It always sells out, but I don't know if it's sold out yet.
And also, don't show up thinking you're going to get in. Last time we were there, I saw people turned back at the gate, families, like kids crying, and the security saying, "Tough shit, kid."
Well, it's
kick
limited.
Rocks.
The venue has a limited number of seats and like a fire marshal capacity. So buy in advance at floridasurffilmfestival.com. Chaz and I are both on the jury to review the films and rate them to pick a winner.
I will say this year's offering was fine.
The best slate of films I've ever seen, actually.
Like, here's the thing, too, that Kevin, I realized, and John Brooks, the co-founder, Kevin Miller and John Brooks, what they do so well that I took for granted. I just thought they put on a good show, right? Put on a good show. What they do is curate a beautiful experience. Like, those films work together. They work individually and they work together as a group of films that you're going to sit in. It's not like this jarring one thing to another, right? And they don't theme it, I don't think, but it almost feels themed. Like, obviously you can't theme because who knows what's coming out each and every year, right? But the way it feels is, it's like an album.
Yeah.
It like works together. Each song works, but it also works together as this whole kind of picture of, I don't know, a view of the state of surfing, I suppose.
It's funny that you say that, because I was trying to figure out how to work in something today into the show. And I was thinking, the thing that I'm trying to work in is John Schmuka's music video from the 1992.
Yeah.
Do you know it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I remember hearing. I need to see it.
I'm gonna show you. Yeah, it just
sweet.
popped up on the internet 2 days ago. Nalu TV on YouTube posted it.
Yes.
I don't know why they posted it out of the blue. I didn't even know it existed. A friend sent it to me.
Sweet.
He's like, I've never seen this before, and I'm like, me neither.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it. Like, the way I was going to try to present it to you is, there used to be albums. If you're a musical artist, you made an album.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's people make singles.
You have a Spotify single.
Yes.
Yeah.
People, literally, the girl at the coffee shop that we used to go to in Newport Beach, I walk in there one day to get my coffee. She's like, hey, check out my new single on Spotify. I'm like, what? Like, what instruments do you play? She's like, none. I'm like, do you sing? And she's like, oh yeah, I do for this. I'm like, what? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, so is there an album? Like, this is the single and the album's coming? She's like, no, I just got a single on Spotify. I'm like, what?
The real bummer of that is the single on Spotify. Oftentimes I will really like a song and want more, and there's nothing more. It's not even like there's another single. It's like this artist has this song and maybe two more, right? And an album never comes out. It's not like, oh, I'm looking forward to something. Nope, you're just left high and dry.
If you want more, go to their Instagram and follow them in their daily life.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just one part of the puzzle. This is Real Housewives. I mean, how many Real Housewives have made a single? A number of them have.
Yeah.
You know, or whoever reality show thing. It's like they like music and they like getting dressed up and they like going on stage and performing. Okay, cool.
Let's make a single.
Yeah, your management puts you together with a songwriter and puts you in the studio and makes a single.
Yep.
That's what that is nowadays. But John Schmuka was into it way before anybody else back in 1992.
Making a single.
I know. So we'll come back to the Florida Surf Film Festival, but while we're on this, do you want to watch it? I'll hold it up so you don't have to get up. I don't know if I even left the window open.
Rest in peace, Shmoo.
I know.
Gone too early.
Real quickly, I should say, right? John Schmuka, quick. I'm on the wrong page of notes. Hold on. Okay. Talented, former World Tour surfer, commentator, jiu-jitsu black belt, and general manager for the Partnerships for Surfing in New South Wales for the final few years of his life. But his greatest title yet is, of course...
You're talking to Johnny J.
Oh, yeah.
Shmoo Daddy.
My name is Shmoo, and I'm never gonna lose her. On the way for the mic, I'm the ruler. Dictatorship's not a thing of the past. I'm rapping hard and long, and I never have to gas for air. To get a unit speed, look it up in the dictionary, you'll see me on fire burning. Everybody's learning about the Shmoo. I'm breaking on through.
Oh, yeah.
The next set of lyrics is actually... I mean, his lyrics are good.
I mean, the combo.
I've mastered this art of writing. So when I started cutting hard like a diamond, dropping in like a B-1 bomber. You wanna battle me? Bring your battle armor. Punch select this, fools can't match this concept. I'm using aerial tactics, pull out my blade, leave you in fragments. You've been slaved by the lyrical madness, poetically lyrical. I'm unkillable, warned by the law for being a right criminal. Alleviate competition with megaforce. People be ducking when I start snapping boards. I'm getting there to ride composer.
It's incredible.
It's epic. It's epic. The classic like Run DMC, Aerosmith combo of rap rock.
Yes.
That probably would have happened just right around then too, right?
Yeah.
Like so.
92.
Yeah, Shmoo, groundbreak, and the surfing is good in there.
So he's on the beach rapping. Looks like trestles, maybe. Yeah. The music video shot on the beach, and he's got an electric guitarist who's not plugged into anything, rocking out with him, and they're doing like the back-to-back dancing together and stuff. The lyrics are very good, and then it's cut with surfing.
And talented. Did Shmoo come out with any other music? Was this one of, or was Shmoo Spotifying in 92?
I could not find anything at all.
Nothing.
Could not find one reference to it.
Wow.
Nalu TV on YouTube posted Happy Birthday Shmoo 2 days ago, so November 8th. And I'll just read actually from their caption. This is the first time I'm reading it. It says, Shmoo emerged from Hawaii in the mid-'80s as a South Shore counterpoint to the macho North Shore vibe. He surfed fast with his hips, surfed like he was dancing to the soundtrack in his head. He was deadly in the beach breaks and made up most of the tour at the time. Always quick to take the piss out of his short stature, Shmoo compensated with an overly developed personality. Shmoo filled the room wherever he went. 5 minutes in with his company, and you simply became an extra in the Shmoo show. Along with close mates like Rod Kerr, Matt Hoy, Dog Marsh, Tom Carroll, Potts, Gurr, Sonny Garcia, and Sonny Miller, they surfed fast and partied faster through the late 80s. Shmoo laughed when he described his tour dynamic in this way. It was a nuisance to compete. It got in the way of the partying. So
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like that was
Shmoo.
actually written by Sean Doherty. They just pulled it from Sean.
Sean Doherty's coming up lately.
Yeah, he is.
Sean Doherty's getting his due recognition.
He is. He's a listener of this podcast.
Great.
He always compliments it.
Sean?
What else has he popped up in your world?
Sean, the great J.P. Curry wrote basically an ode to Doherty's piece on Andy.
Gotcha.
Andy's passing whenever it came out. And it really is true. Like Sean Doherty, even listening to that, Sean Doherty's an incredible writer.
Yep.
He's an incredible writer. He's insightful. But it's not like Sam Georgie Sam George always feels like he's trying to prove that he's like the most articulate, smartest person in the world. And like Sam George is too much in Sam George prose. I'm sure I'm way too much in my own prose too. Doherty is actually telling a story without getting in the way of the story, I feel. It's not, look at how well I write.
Agreed. Florida Surf Film Festival, the films, let's go ahead and just reference them real quickly.
Let's do it.
Facing Monsters with Kirby Brown.
Are you going to say who you voted for?
I will.
Here on the show?
Sure.
Great.
Why not? Natural High with Jack Coleman's film, Through the Doggy Door, which you referenced last week about Sheldon Paishan, West Side of Oahu, Mason Ho's friend. Island X with our good friend and listener, Mark McGinnis. Film made by Ben Weiland. Hail Mary, the Ballroom Stack feature made by Ben Gulliver. Sweet Adventure, made by Peter Hamblin. The Yin and Yang of Jerry Lopez, made by Stacy Peralta, and then The Birth of the Endless Summer, which is the documentary about Dick Metz.
Great. All of them great films.
Any one of these would have won.
Yeah. It was
any other year.
It was, I'll tell you, it was almost impossible for me to judge.
Yeah, I agree.
Except for Doggy Door. Doggy Door, I'll just come out and spoil it, was my clear number one for Doco.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that, and I love the Alani brothers, and
Yeah.
I love Mason Ho, and I love the story, but Facing Monsters for me was the number one.
It was great. Facing Monsters was great. Like a clear, great film, right? It was clearly a great film. What I liked about Doggy Door, and then you can tell me what you liked about Facing Monsters. Rarely have I seen a story told better than Joe did with that story. Like it was the perfect length. It didn't linger. It surprised me. Like I hadn't been following Sheldon at all before. And so I didn't know where this story was going to go, right? I honestly did not know where it was going to go. The payoff was perfect at the ending. Won't spoil it for people. But the arc of that story, again, Facing Monsters, great. But no story was better told than Doggy Door.
That might be true. What I did like about it as well is we hear about that West Side sad story, you know?
But you see it, like the way
they unpack it, or they created context to better understand it.
The interviews, every one of those interviews that Joe had in there, like there was not one wasted interview. Every single person spoken to was insightful, had something to share, added to the film. I mean, I just thought the quilt that is making a film, like Joe wove it, or whatever, however you make a quilt, sewed it perfectly.
The other thing about those interviews is it's a really touchy subject. It's a very sensitive subject. And I could see that community, or any community in a similar position, would be apprehensive to let somebody put a camera in their face, feeling that they might be exploited.
Yep.
And so for Joe to have access to that community, which he does through Sheldon and Mason, of course, but for that community to kind of open up in that way and share a lot of their plight. And their plight is so unique because there's so many external circumstances that contributed to the plight. And aside from the kingdom being overthrown, but also the the North Shore and the South Shore's development, and them kind of choosing like, okay, that's fine, but we'll just live a simple life over here. But all of that encroaches upon and then sucks from, you know? And so by them wanting to live the kind of way that they've always lived in a simple life, other people take advantage of it. Yeah. And then they find themselves, it's really interesting. It's really complex also. It's so much more complex than I could explain it, but the film does a good job of creating the context to understand these aren't just homeless people that are drug addicts who are like a victim of their own bad decisions. There's a bunch of systemic circumstance involved, you know? And I say it's unique. It's actually maybe not unique. It might be the oldest story in time where this happens, when there's rapid development or lots of tourism or lots of capitalist kind of interest in a nearby community or something like that. But it's all told through Sheldon's story. Yes. And he's a really talented pro surfer. Interestingly, just as a side note, there's footage in there of Waco, the wave pool in Waco. I think he does like a big double grab flip in that pool. I was there that day. I saw all that stuff live. Oh, wow. Mason Hose clips and all that. Yeah. We just happened to be there, and it was towards the end of the day, and they had rented out, I think it was Lost, because Biolis was there too. Lost rented out the pool for like the last couple of hours of sunlight and then like an hour or two of dark. And we're like, okay, well, we got to get out of the pool at 4:00 or whatever. Well, Mason Ho walks in and the crew walks in. We're like, oh, I guess we're shutting down for them. Yeah. we're just going to hang out. Let's go to the jacuzzi and like drink a couple beers and watch. And sure enough, it was like showtime, dude. And Sheldon, that's where I first was introduced to Sheldon. I was like, who's the dude with no stickers on his board, you know? And then kind of got the backstory and understood, and then heard about the film project they were working on and all that.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was back in the green water days of Waco.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been 2019.
I mean, the fact that Joe had been working, like I
don't think it was a concept yet.
But I mean, I don't know. It seemed like the interviews he had though in there were,
Sonny.
Yeah, he had Sonny.
Yeah,
and so
Derek.
Yeah, exactly. So this has been something that he's been working on for a long time, clearly. And you can tell from, it really comes out in the film that this is a labor of love that was not hurried or, I mean, that's why I thought it was the best. I thought it was the honest to goodness, the best film.
The reason why I chose Facing Monsters was it's so cinematic. Like the opening shot of just being the helicopter kind of, or it's probably a drone, but just super up high over that red water. First of all, what is that red water? And him being laid on his back. And then it cuts to him being paralyzed essentially. And the first wave that they show too. I mean, we talk about Mason Ho surfing sketchy waves over rocks. This is that compounded by 1,000. This is a wave that's as big and round as Chopu, but right over rocks like that. And so that first wave that they show, we were like, no, there's no way he's going to make that thing. And the wave just mutates and morphs, and you're like, oh no, he's not even going to pull in. Then he pulls in, you're like, there's no way he's going to make it. He's so deep. And he just navigates it, and it's literally like 5 feet from the rock shelf. It's insane.
Beautiful cinematography.
Really beautiful.
A great story, well told. Yeah, I mean, a beautiful film.
Yeah. I wish that we could somehow make these films available to our listeners.
I know.
I don't think we can.
Get on planes and fly. Some of them must be online, I would imagine.
They're not yet.
Okay.
Actually, the Sweet Adventure is...
Sweet Adventure is epic.
Very good. The yin and yang of Jerry Lopez is... Sweet Adventure, the Peter Hamlin one with...
I like that, okay.
With Albie Layer and Matt Miola.
Yeah, I really like that Albie story and Matt's story. The film was a little bit too tricky for me. I
know. You know, there was a point with... what's the Darjeeling Limited dude's name?
Yeah, exactly. Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson,
yeah.
Right? So Wes Anderson, at a certain point, the films became caricatures of themselves.
It's like Sam George's writing.
Yes,
it's just way self-referential. Exactly. And that, I thought that Sweet Adventure would have been a lot better without Sal and all that. That all seemed like unnecessary polish on the story that was good by itself and didn't need to be, ginned up.
It's ginned up and then put back in the shaker, shaken again, and then ginned again, and then put it in another. It's like there's too many layers to just get to kind of the story. He made Peter Hamlin, the first film that I saw of his, I think it might have been his first real surf film. It was called Let's Be Frank.
Yeah, which was also...
This had that, but it was more subtle. It was to me, that's the best. Yeah. And then they did Riss, and Riss was, again, a caricature of that style.
Kind of film, yeah.
It's also, not only is it so referential of his own style, it's so, the influences from Wes Anderson and a couple of others are so obvious that you're like, dude, that's the exact shot from the Grand Budapest Hotel. Yeah. You know what I mean? You want to have a little distance from your influences. And so when it's that obvious, it kind of takes you out of the experience. So I did like the film. It is successful. And I think that he's a phenomenal filmmaker, and he will go on to win Oscars probably.
Yes.
And we'll look back and be like, man, remember when he played in the surf space?
Yes.
But it's a little too much. Yeah.
What I was, the African, what's it called?
Sultan Rhythm. No. African Territory.
African Territory, I thoroughly loved. I mean, as an old adventurer myself, that pure adventure for adventure's sake, and then the way they documented it was marvelous.
Completely. We should, since we can't make these films available because they all have a distribution process that they have to go through, when they do come out, we'll remind listeners.
Each one.
We'll remind listeners, hey, go watch Facing Monsters at whatever.
Because Island X is a must-see as well.
They can get Island X by buying the book, I think.
Buy
And
the
it
book then,
comes
because
with-
Island X was my, I'm just going to come out and say it, was my number one for feature.
There you go. Boom. I want to do them the service of looking it up right now. See if they can just buy it on islandx.com.
I hope they can, because Island X is again, a beautiful film, like cinematographically, cinematically beautiful, and also the story is heart-tugging and well-told.
So go to Mark McGinnis. markmcginnis.com.
And it's not McGinnis, it's McInnis.
MarkMcInnis. And you can buy the book, the Island X book. It doesn't look like the film is available there, but at least buy the coffee table book, which you and I both have.
Have you seen? It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
It would be a wonderful gift. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put Island X in the old man's hat.
Like it.
Have you ever seen the comic, or maybe it's a meme, where it's the Starbucks, somebody trying to get a Starbucks, our job at Starbucks, and the person hiring says, "Can you spell Mark with a C?" And he says CARC.
Cark.
You're hired.
It is a good meme. Okay, Island X is available right now.
Do it. Get
on,
it.
On demand. So iTunes, Apple TV,
Watch
Prime
it.
Video, or Vimeo.
Yep. Beautiful
So,
film.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, we need to continue with today's show.
Let's do it.
We've got a couple of topics, actually. Netflix tries to buy the WSL. Griff gets on
that
quick.
was a huge story.
Yeah.
2 huge stories.
Gabriel gets on Monster.
Big stories all around. Look,
Nathan
everybody
Florence's
complained.
Wave.
Everybody complained last week.
And now we're back with tons of news.
Surf coming out of the gills.
So let's go. Netflix tries to buy the WSL. Netflix explores, and this was written by the WSJ about the WSL.
Exactly. WSJ about WSL.
Netflix explores investing in sports leagues, bidding on streaming rights. So last year they were looking to expand their offerings beyond what they currently do. And they were thinking about, or they were actually looking at licensing rights for different events, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tennis, we can stream tennis on our platform. Everybody's already on our platform anyways. They can just come here. It's kind of like, I noticed Amazon Prime's been doing that with football.
Of course.
I go to watch a movie and they like give me a commercial about Monday Night Football or whatever it is, Thursday Night Football,
actually.
right? So I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, Netflix was thinking about doing the same thing. In addition, they realized there's no point in buying the streaming rights. Some of these smaller leagues that really have the opportunity to grow into big leagues, what they really limit is
Exposure.
Audience. And we have the people already on the platform. So let's consider buying some of these leagues. Guess who they reached out to?
World Surf League. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Little league that everybody knows what this sport is. Everybody would really be curious to see this sport if they knew where to find it and how. We could just present it. So they went into negotiations and the deal fell apart because of price.
Ouch.
Yes.
Mark Price getting in the way again.
How does a deal fall apart because of price? The seller wants something that the buyer isn't willing to pay for. Here's what's weird. Netflix pays $50 million to Dave Chappelle to do a stand-up. So they have the cash. They have the capital on hand. What could WSL possibly have been asking for?
I mean, it's crazy town, whatever it is. And here's the thing. Like, I mean, let's be frank. WSL has only ever run at a loss, right? It's a money-losing operation. Estimates vary about how much it loses, but it's a lot. Ooh,
20 mil, 20 to 40.
20 to 40 mil a year to put something on. So yeah, whatever Netflix was offering. I mean, here's the thing is I think, what do I think? I think that Ziff clearly is a billionaire with a B. He has 32 days worth of money or years. What was it? 32 years? It's crazy, damn. They're overplayed their hand. Whatever Netflix was offering would have been better.
Okay. we've seen the stats that Eric Logan promotes.
Yes.
About growth and all that sort of thing.
Keep going.
And we can very easily, you and I are not experts on stats.
Yes.
We don't know streaming. We don't know any of it. We can very easily tell that that's all BS.
Yes.
It's very,
Lies.
very used carsman salesy.
Apparent lies.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
And then if you actually do want to dig into it, we can dig into it very superficially and realize that it is, in fact, not truth.
Yes.
Right? So who knows stats better than Netflix?
Yeah.
They've got better statisticians tracking everything. That's how they run their business. And so it would be my guess that Logan or whoever at the WSL who is considering this deal presented that stack of stats and said, here's what we do, and this is how we based the value of the company.
Yes.
And Netflix said, wow, okay, we can afford that, no problem. Let's go ahead and dig into the books. Or the stats specifically, because the books are all in the red. But let's go ahead and dig into the stats to see what we could actually do with those stats. And they dug in and go, this isn't accurate.
And
There's in no way close to what you're. So, okay, based on the stats that we dug into, we will instead pay you this amount. And WSL goes, no, but we're worth more. And that's where it falls apart.
I mean, I would imagine it would have fallen apart too based on projections. I'm sure WSL has, this is what we did this year. This is what we did. This is what we did viewer number wise 2 years ago. This is what we did last year. This is our growth, right? Which I have no doubt they're growing, just not at like the dumb 8 million people and counting watching finals day.
Yeah, they're
like
growing incrementally.
They're growing incrementally. And that's I know Eric for sure used impressions as watching, right? I have no doubt that through Instagram and YouTube and everything combined, that 8 million people clicked onto a WSL Finals Day thing. Now, how many of them stayed and how many people actually watched, right? So he's conflating, I would imagine, clicks with actual with engagement, which it's not engagement. But in any case, I would imagine where the deal really, so they said, we're on this upward. We had 8 million people consuming this thing, Finals Day. Next year, our projections are for between 20 and 30 million consuming Finals Day. We're on this growth platform. We have more, because that's his whole thing, how big they're getting. And it's not just for now. It is for clearly it's on the block too, right? I mean, if somebody just doesn't go cold calling WSL.
It's been on the block for years.
Yeah, they know. Everybody knows it's on the block.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what all this dancing around with numbers. I heard a rumor, well-placed source, and this is probably a lot of speculation here, but that was Eric Logan himself who tanked the deal because Eric Logan loses a job. That's what the speculation was. An industry insider said, Logan doesn't want this to sell because he will get fired and nobody else will hire him. And I said, except for, doesn't he go and tout, stuff he did at Oprah, and then he turned the World Surf League around and it sold to Netflix.
That's a great get.
Isn't that, you'd think.
It's Netflix's first foray into owning
You'd think, and this
huge.
person said no, that everybody knows that Eric is actually worthless and this is the last job he'll ever have.
See, that's interesting.
Seemed rude to me.
That is very rude. It is very rude. Good thing it was somebody else's quote, so you can just point at them.
I mean, yeah, I still think if the WSL sold to Netflix, Eric Logan would be super in demand for at least any kind of minor sports league.
I would think Eric can get a job at a lot of places.
I don't know though.
I would think.
I mean, Hollywood,
the Oprah credentials. I think it's just that sticks with him for life.
But entertainment is in a different place now, right?
Very much.
And these companies aren't throwing money around like they used to be. Yeah. They've taken some losses and are not being as crazy anymore.
Well, aside from the WSL's own role in this, let's talk about the potential that was.
How much better it would have been.
Would it have been? Think about if the WSL was owned by Netflix and everything was available to stream instantly, how would surfing be different and how would the culture kind of be portrayed?
Because the wall of positive noise would come down right away, I believe.
Well, they'd still have to have people at the WSL running the company. So
fired. All of them.
So, so they replace them.
Yeah.
The wall of positive noise could remain. I mean,
No, because the wall of positive noise is not interesting. Like if your Netflix's goal would be to get viewers, you'd think that's the WSL's goal too. I don't think that's really the WSL's goal. I think the WSL's goal is to sell the WSL, right? Ostensibly. That's why you have this wall of positive noise. That's why you have everything just gobbledygook, right? Because what is actually intriguing is drama. I mean, as anyone who makes or has ever watched television knows, what if the Kardashians or whatever never dated Kim or never dated or married Kanye West? What if they sat around a coffee table and talked only positively about everything? It would not be a hit show, right? They do a really good job of either faking drama or creating drama, but all of these shows and successful shows are based on drama. Real sports too. There's drama.
more so
right?
in sports than that.
Yeah,
even.
and I think the NFL tries to hedge some of that drama, but they're like, again, same source told me, read the Netflix deal. There's always a battle, of course. This person has worked in sports, and there's always a battle between the league and the broadcasting partner in terms of, what's bad for the brand versus what's, all things are good drama-wise for the broadcast partner. The more drama there is, the more people are watching.
Of course.
Long way of saying Netflix would have ripped the wall of positive noise down because it would have been in their interest to create drama. It would have also been in their interest to create dynamic locations that people would want to see. And so then we would be back at Cloudbreak, I would imagine. We'd be at waves that look good. They would know that the course, because they would know the core surf fan audience is so small, which again, I'm sure when they looked at the books, they said, you're telling me that this core audience of, what are we going to estimate the core surf fan audience is?
400,000 people.
Okay, let's just guess 400,000 people. That is not going to grow, right? That'll grow very, 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 very slowly, if at all, right?
Correct. And we can define that as people who might spend money to go try to surf Cloudbreak one day.
Yes. Yeah.
So that number is going to go from 400,000 to 400,000 and 4.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. And so you have this static audience. So their only way to really grow it is to catch
people who will never go surfing.
Precisely, which you don't catch those people with Surf Ranch or with Finals Day at Lower Trestles or with
Newcastle
any of the junk the WSL does, except for Chopu, Pipeline, J-Bay. Give me another one. Is that it? Do we just have?
No, G-Land.
G-Land, sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
there's
of course.
a couple. Yeah.
But on this year's tour schedule.
Right. Add in Jaws, add in Nazare.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% true. And you're right. The Netflix understands the drama component very, very well.
Yep.
So they would not only look at the stats and all the books and all that sort of stuff, they would look at the actual programming itself, and they'd watch an event and they'd go, where is the man versus nature, woman versus nature? Where is the drama? Where's the dynamics? Where's the theatrics?
Why is this taking
so long? It doesn't exist. Okay, so if we do buy this, let's go to Nazare. We watched that documentary on Garrett McNamara. Why aren't you guys there? Or we saw Ian Walsh's film or whatever on Jaws. Why aren't we there? What about Mavericks? I've heard about that spot. Why aren't we there? Kelly Pipeline, we know that. Let's do that. They would very quickly redesign it. And then Eric Logan would be sitting in the room and he'd go, no, we tried to go to G-Land this year and it turns out it's very complicated.
Yeah.
They'd go, you can't solve for how to get people to G-Land? Don't people go and surf there all the time and book trips? Oh yeah, they do that, but it's harder to do it for the world's best surfers. What? Isn't this the business that you run? Get out of the room. We will solve for this.
Yeah.
Get on the phone. We're sending everybody to G-Land. When is the swell good? Okay, cool. Book it. Let's go.
Yep.
That's how it would run.
I mean, I would imagine that.
And it doesn't even have to be a tour. It's just, hey, on Netflix, we're going to have 12 specialty events throughout the year.
That's what it would be.
They're going to be pumping waves at the world's best waves. Let's just call up anybody in the surf space. Hey, Kelly Slater, what are the best 12 waves in the world? Okay, cool. That's where we're doing it. We're going to have one event every month, and you're going to tune in and watch it.
I mean, that's
it. Like, simple.
I think that's exactly what they would have done. I think that the idea of them being interested in leagues to grow interest, I think they would have quickly realized that, which they probably did, was probably why I would imagine why the offer was fairly low, is that nobody cares really about this as a sports league. Like the Challenger Series and, you know, all of these guys on tour. I mean, my goodness, like the Challenger Series just wrapped up in Sakurama. What's his name won? Gabriel Medina won. He's back. King is back. Which we could talk about that too. It's funny. Like there was some comments in the Beach Grit section about how rude it is for somebody who's already on tour to just go snatch places from tour from people. I mean,
Ramsey Bukaim.
Yeah.
He's been trying so
Forever.
hard for so long.
And Gabriel Medina just says, nope, not on my watch. I mean,
Gabriel
maybe
shows up at 60%.
Yeah.
He just waxes
smokes
him.
everyone. All to say, though, I would love to see Ramsey on tour. That would be great. I know that he will not stick around for more than 1 year. He will be off at the mid. Not one of those surfers who's coming up. The only one, Joao Baby Chumbo, is like has a chance to rise up the tour rankings. None of those other ones do. Like they just don't, right? You don't get John Florence's and Gabriel Medina's and Felipe Toledo's and from the Challenger Series. Those guys, or from the QS before it, those guys will go do the QS, but John was John. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? They could have just told John, you can go find the best surfers of the world and say, hey, okay, now you're on tour, right? Why do you have this stupid Challenger Series? Yeah,
well, what's worse is you definitely don't get a John from somebody who has been on that series for 10 years knocking on the door.
Yeah. Like,
he only ends up on tour for 1 or 2 seasons before he goes away.
By surfing, like who for 10 years, surfing crappy waves, like trying to milk crappy waves the best you can. And then finally you're on tour. Okay, now you go surf good waves. Oh, you haven't surfed good waves for 10 years. Sorry, you're back.
They're on good waves on tour. So I get your point, but it doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, ultimately though, the Ramsey Bukaims of the world, the Joan Deroux of the world, all the Maxime Housinos. Yeah. It's like, dude, those guys surf incredibly.
They're great surfers.
They're such good surfers. Never going to be a world champ.
They're not.
Never even going to be top 5.
They're
never
not
even going to be top 10.
They're not one of the top even 12 best surfers in the world. And so it's great. I love it. But that's the thing. So Netflix looks at that too and says, we got to have this whole challenge series. This is not going to grow. There's no intrigue in surfing of some like college sports or to pros, right? Now, here you have every single year surprises. Where was Tom Brady drafted?
I don't know.
It was like 7th round, right?
Oh, was he?
Yeah. All like rare, or not rarely, but as often as not, some star is born in the NFL who is overlooked, right? I mean, that happens all the time. Same with basketball, right?
Yeah,
I mean, stinking Steph Curry went to Davidson, like kind of he wasn't at a Power 5, big basketball school. Like, so you find these this always happens. That does not happen in surfing or does not happen in professional surfing.
Definitely not.
Nobody comes up. Nobody's discovered ripping on the challenge series. Like, where did this guy come from?
Well, you know why? Wow. I mean, what's interesting is that's a huge indictment of the format of the WSL.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing on that tour is not reflective of highlighting the best surfing in the world.
No.
Otherwise, like Jack Robinson would just be implanted on the tour and then win every event.
Yeah.
Because he is designed for surfing the best waves in the world and doing, by the way, massive airs on the best waves in the world.
I mean, I would
But
really
you put him in beach breaks and he's nullified.
And if Netflix closed the deal and hired us as business consultants, what I would have told them is exactly that, is you just ask stinking Kelly, for pity's sake. Ask Kelly who the 15 best surfers in the world are. And how many episodes you want to do? You want to do 10? Okay. How many, or the 10 best waves in the world? That's it. You fly those, like it's whatever. It's in everything. The WSL becomes an invitational league, not a.
Why wouldn't it be?
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I can even see Netflix, while they're working on this deal, turning on Apple and watching Make or Break, the series.
Did you read that story? I thought that was a big deal.
I didn't see that story.
That allegedly, from another good source. WSL self-funded that thing.
Yes.
So it was basically Apple wouldn't have done it unless WSL paid the tab.
Right.
And so of course you have the phenomenal partner of Box to Box, right? But the Apple gets it's whatever. If it's successful, it's successful. If it's not, it's not. It's probably marginally successful.
Yeah.
probably did pretty good. Box to Box did a great job though Box to Box did the best job of finding drama, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're so good at what they do.
Correct. So Netflix, while they're doing the, due diligence for this deal, they turn on Apple, they watch Make or Break, and they go, this is marginally interesting. There's a couple little conflicts. Some of these characters, there's some meat on these bones, but it's really limited by the bloat of the tour and the venues of the tour, and the organization itself is really tempering a lot of what could be sensational here.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like, and they go, because if we were producing this show, we would produce it like, Selling Sunset or Love is Blind or whatever it is, where we would pack in these drama and these situations and these inevitable conflict. We'll put some alcohol in the scene and all. That's how we would do it. But everything is tempered by the bureaucracy and the structure of the way that they're running this tour. And so, they would just say, invitational events, we're going to Kandui. Kelly, who are the best guys for Kandui? We're going to Pipe, who are the best people for Pipe, and 12 events a year, one a month.
The hard thing I know that both networks and everyone has with sports like surfing is that, like, there's the window, right? You don't know exactly when it's going to run, except if you're one day basically, or 2 days, or one swell event, you could, with forecasting now, they could say, we're going to run Chopu in, when do they run it? March? No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
April.
We're going to run Chopu in April. Like, how do you advertise to get people to actually tune in, right? People have to be kind of following, but I feel there'd be a better way. You could pump your Netflix ads to people, like, be aware during this time, and then a week before really say, we're running these days, right?
Just, in April, Netflix is going to publish the Chopu event.
Yes.
That's it. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know it's on the third Thursday in April. We just need to know it's in April.
Yeah.
And then closer to the event, they start promoting it. And then the next day, how does Nathan Florence get to Mulligmore? It's because he's doing exactly that. And then he's advertising it. And the next day we all see it. They put it on the front page. And if you've watched any sport documentary in the last 2 years, they then advertise it to you.
Yes.
Done. Super simple.
It's a real bummer that we're left with the WSL.
And the other bummer that I thought about was I'm surveying, I guess, in the last few years, how the culture looks so much different, how surf culture looks so much different due to the WSL circus and wave storms and all of that sort of stuff. And the badassery of my youth and the macho, the kind of rugged beauty of masculinity that was pervasive in this thing has been supplanted by soft prettiness, Yeah. And there's a part of me that really laments that. And the way that I see Netflix managing their business is they would lean into that thing that I grew up with, which I think is very unique and it's hard earned, and all that. Like, you watch some documentaries on there that are just, it's badassery.
And the same is true on the women's side too. It's not just masculine, I think. Like, I totally hear what you're saying on the men's side. It's that. On the women's side though, there's what am I trying to say here? Like the Lisa Anderson kind of, whatever that was, is missing on the girls' side too. They really banged the drum of equality and all this, but there was something that the characters, at least back then, and I love Steph and all this, but there's a way to make the women's side.
There's fewer characters across the board.
Yeah.
There's just too much money and too much to protect that you have to play it easy.
Yeah.
Safe and easy. But what I guess I'm thinking is, like, if there's a sensational documentary out that is controversial, Netflix still buys it and promotes it.
Sure.
Or if, Dave Chappelle, like I said, they gave him three stand-up special deal for $150 million. So $50 million each. Then he goes out there and talks about trans and gay people and kind of makes fun of them. and the entire internet goes up in arms and is like, Dave Chappelle needs to be canceled. Netflix goes,
Doesn't cancel.
nope,
Yeah.
we're not canceling him. Here's another $50 million.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about whatever you want to
Yeah.
talk about. Like, they don't shy away. So that's all that I meant to say, is that like the WSL is catering to the cultural kind of virtue signaling, whatever way that blows on any given week.
Yeah.
So it's this week we're talking about this, and then we're going to blow this other way over here and talk
Yeah.
about this next week, and that with no backbone or no clear vision and spine for what they're trying to do or
Yeah.
what they're even trying to be or say. Whereas Netflix is just going to realize the conflict and all the value that you and I talked about and go, that's all this is. We're just focusing on man and woman versus nature and the conflict that's inherent within. What are those venues? What are the right people? Let's do that. And that's
Done.
all it is.
Yep.
Simple.
I mean,
Simple.
apparently it's not.
Surf culture would be in a better place if it was reflective of that.
Eric Logan, though, is too busy at Surf Ranch throwing double deuces.
Oh my gosh. Talk about a pocket ride too. I'm like, you can't double deuce a pocket ride. And like shamelessly promoting it. It's
I couldn't
like
believe I
ridic.
gotta do a beach grid on it.
It's ridiculous.
It needs its own. Double deuces needs its own. Like, you're stinking a 50-odd-year-old man too. Like, you don't, when you're that age, you don't do double deuces. You don't say double deuces or write double deuces, and you especially don't do it when your bottom is in the barrel, not your whole body.
Do you have to get out of here at any?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Because we're going long. But I'm not ready to quit yet.
No.
Griff on quick.
Yes. Boom. Major earthquake.
It's funny that you say that. I couldn't care less.
Look at though. Really think back. Think back to what we've come. You were talking about the softification, the double deucing of surf culture. We used to have brands that like were an identity, right? Like, you were a Billabong. You liked Andy Irons and you wore Billabong, or you liked Kelly Slater and you wore Quicksilver, right? And maybe I'm totally being dumbly nostalgic, but to me, what you chose to wear, which surf brands you chose to wear, were reflective of how you wanted to be perceived, right? Of the crew you wanted to align yourself with. Again, I grew up in Oregon. Maybe I was totally out in my own little weird space of that's the way I was thinking about it, since I didn't grow up in Southern California. So that's what it was to me anyhow, though.
It was in Southern California too.
So you have these Billabong, Quicksilver, and they merge together, right? That's like, like, you guys aren't supposed to be in the same room, but I still like that there is. I remember I worked for Surfing Magazine for a good couple years, right? Surfer was owned by the same company as Surfing. Now, on the surface, that seems like it could be, of course, you're all one happy family, right? No, I loved it. Like, going down to the surfer cubicles and just glaring, and there was like a real palpable, we're better than them, right? And it was fun to feel that, and maybe I drummed that up more than I should have, but like, it was fun to feel that war, and I think both sides felt it. There was a tension and pressure for each side to do better than the other. Do better sales, get better advertisers, make better issues, have better photographs, all this kind of stuff. There was when the Jimmy Kane was photo editor and Pete Terrace at Surfing. And I remember like they wouldn't want the surfer guys coming anywhere near when they were selecting photos. And all to say, I would imagine that's very much how it feels in the halls of board riders. Billabong on one side, Quicksilver on the other. Sure, they're owned by the same company. They're in the same room or in the same building. They probably still hate each other. And so, or there is that rivalry. I guarantee there is. And so to have Griff flip from one to the other, to me is like, ooh, Griffin, come on, you don't do that. You don't, either you don't do that, or if you do it, then you recognize I'm going to ride for the enemy. Like, and Quicksilver should have done a better job of we snagged one or whatever, right? Like, there should have been some of that narrative.
You're tripping.
No.
It is entirely nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
No, but
I grew up in that and I felt that at that time. But when you saw Quicksilver on his board, did you currently have any clarity for what the brand identity is for Quicksilver versus Billabong and feel like, wow, there was He went from Republican Party to Democratic Party.
I kind of did, oddly, because Beach Grit did the board short thing with Billabong, the Metallica. And so I went up and interviewed, I think, all of the A-team riders besides, the Parco and Taj of Billabong's team. And there was a real sense of that team to me, right? And when
even that had to be 10 years ago.
It was
7 years ago,
probably 5 years ago. But there was a sense of team. And when I look at Quick's team, there's a sense of that team too, right? You have Leo, Kanoa, who are the other majors on there?
Kanoa, Maxime Husino. I don't know.
Jeremy Flores. There's a feeling of the Quick team too in my mind, and it feels like now Griffin's going for the enemy.
Okay, here's how this all happened. Okay, because it's not Griff going, man. I'm a brand new person now, and I'm changing teams because my identity has changed. I need a brand that aligns with my identity.
No, of course not.
This was in that building you're talking about. The accountant going, we need to move some of the expenses from this balance sheet over to this balance sheet.
I don't think so.
You know what? Who are we paying that amount to? Let's just move him over here, put the sticker on, write a press release explaining that he used to like this logo on Dane Reynolds' board, and that's all that was.
From what I hear, it wasn't that way. From what I hear, it was both unexpected and unwelcome.
How am I the cynical one in this relationship right now?
Because I have inside information.
Times have changed.
Inside information.
Yeah. Well, when I was young, what you're talking about, the nostalgia, that's all true because when we were young, those brands had very distinct and clear ethos and identity.
I think they still kind of do. I think if you spend some time with Billabong, with Quick, spend some time back in the brand.
It's not, once it's publicly traded, and
it's true. It's not
they're
the same.
Servicing shareholders, how do you have distinct identity in that scenario?
But I still think the people in those companies are still core surfers who actually believe and
I think
care.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's
so
true.
I think
and
that's
they
where
are trying to create marketing campaigns and identity for that, but it's
and
not
that's where the
from
ethos
the
lives.
It's
not from the leader. It's not from the C-suite, but down where the rubber meets the road, I think it's still that way.
But it has to service the shareholders first and foremost.
It does, but I think they still know that in the salty, the ones with salt, know that in order to service the shareholders, it has to be good for the core surfer.
If Griff said, I am replacing this sticker with Patagonia sticker,
Yeah.
then to me, that's more of a news story. Because now you have a brand whose mission statement is crystal clear to everybody who ever sees that logo. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
That would be a more distinct, and you would also presume in that scenario, Patagonia is not paying the same prices or the same salary that those other brands are. So Griffin also took a loss probably just for his ideology.
My question to you, how many trunks, tees, hoodies, etc. has Griffin Colapinto sold?
That's a great question.
Like, I wonder, and I don't know the answer, maybe like around San Clemente or whatever, kids see him and think, oh, Griffin wears Billabong, I'm going to go buy Billabong, or, I don't know. I don't know how much he moves the needle.
Well, so I think the moving of the needle is very different now. When we were young, it was, I want to be like Andy Irons, and that's what moved the needle. Or by contrast, Kelly Slater when they were going at it. And that's how you picked whether I bought Quicksilver or Billabong, this is who I identify with. I don't think kids identify with Kanoa versus Griff necessarily, but they do go by a surf shop and they see a poster of somebody doing a huge air and they go, wow, that's a cool image. But they don't know that's Griffin Colapinto or that's Kaloe Andino or that's Kanoa.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
When I was on the cobbled stone at Lower Trestles, the amount of, and of course that's where young kids are coming or being brought by their folks to see competitive surfing. I guess some of them really did. I mean, there was a bunch in jerseys, I will say, which was surprising to me. But, more was just, it was like every team was handing out swag, right? Every of the top 5, their company, whoever they rode for, was handing out merch for that surfer. And the kids are just going around like hungry dogs, scooping up any merch they could for any surfer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kids will always do that.
Yeah.
Gabriel Medina, in other sponsor news.
Monster Claw.
He's on the Monster Energy now.
A big war brewing between him and Pip Toledo.
Yeah, on the same team.
Yeah. This room is only big enough for one Brazilian, I would imagine. I think so. I think that it's not like Gabe and Pip have different styles, or they have different personalities, sure, and Gabriel also obviously is not afraid to paddle at Chopu, but aside from that, they're like similar surfers. And I think if you're Pip and Gabe comes on the team, I don't think you're pumping your fist. I think you're thinking he's going to steal my thunder and make me redundant.
Interestingly, I feel like the energy drink companies just have so much money, they don't need one rider. They could just give money to everybody and
I think so,
blanket the space.
But I think that you would I think you'd be looking at boxes ticked, right? Like
Gabe ticks way more boxes for them than Felipe does.
That's why I think Philippe is if I was Philippe, I would be like, oh, I better start looking for a new energy drink sponsor. Right. This is, I'm either going to get my salary's either going to get cut, or I'm going to get cut altogether.
Do you think Gabriel drinks Monster?
No.
Me neither.
No.
It's interesting. If a energy drinks company offered to sponsor the podcast, or
I'd drink it.
Would you?
All day, every day.
Yeah.
If they were like,
would you drink it, or would you just take the money and advertise it?
No, I'd drink it. If Rockstar wanted to advertise, I would drink. I wouldn't drink it religiously, but anytime there's a time and a place for an energy drink, I will say. And my energy drink of choice, they're free to sponsor too, is Red Bull, right? So on a long road trip at night, I've had my coffee for the day. I can't be bothered with a cup of hot coffee. Get a perfect little energy drink, right? So if whoever energy drink sponsored, I would say, okay, I'm a Rockstar man now. Even if I didn't like it initially, I would learn to love it and learn to enjoy it, because I think everything we advertise on this show, I use, right? Yeah. Like I've honestly used AG1. When we had Whoop, I truly used it. Whoop it was annoying, but it also did some good stuff. Yeah. Like I run to this day because of my Whoop. So great. It actually got me to be more fit. Long way of saying, really going long this show just for the sake of going long.
But you actually drink energy drinks in your real life. Like I don't.
But I would convert you.
I've never once had a Monster.
Time and place.
Yeah. And I've never encountered that time and place. And I don't know after 41 years if I will for the next 41.
You're a father now. There's going to be.
Well, maybe. But if they offer, the problem is I also would have turned down the money 15 years ago. Now I might take the money just for the sake of the money itself. Like when I look at Gabe make this deal, I'm like, gosh, dude, he's literally, the amount of money they're giving him is more than most people will see in their lifetime. Probably they're probably giving him $500,000.
I wonder if
and he's just like, yeah, sure, I was just one more sticker, I won't ever drink the thing. It's such easy money, it's crazy.
I didn't notice or I should have written this in the little release about it. Gabe's bottom of his board was a straight up billboard. Like a crazy NASCAR billboard the last couple of years. Yeah, NASCAR. Like insane the amount of stickers he had. Now it's all cleaned up. He just has the Monster Claw in the middle and Rip Curl on the nose, and at least at Sakurama. I don't know if all those are going to come back on tour, but I wonder if both Monster and Rip Curl and everybody said, hey, enough of this. Like we'll
just pay you enough to replace it.
We'll overpay. Like maybe we won't come in, at all that, but every one of those stickers, there was a responsibility with it, right? Like it wasn't just a sticker. I'm sure there was
of course,
Instagram post and a something and a something and a something. And so if it was just if Gabe said, my NASCAR days are done, I will do stuff for Monster, I will do stuff for Rip Curl, I will do stuff for whatever else his other sponsors are, and that's it.
Yeah.
But he's back not to NASCAR land.
Yeah, possibly. Speaking of sponsors, should we go to commercial break?
Let's do it.
We'll come back, though. I'd got a couple clickbait, True Gritter clickbait crap, and then we've got Barrel or Not, of course. All right, Chaz, back with a brand new sponsor.
I love it.
Brand new.
I use the product, David Lee Scales.
Yes, indeedy.
I am wearing it right now.
It's a tool.
I mean, here's what I say. There's people out there who don't like wristwatches. Men. I think they're all fools, to be honest. I've had so many people tell me, so I've been a wristwatcher from birth, right? I
Came out of the womb.
love watches. It was like, remember early days, taking Band-Aids and putting them on my wrist where a watch should go and trying to draw a face on it. Like, I've always loved watches, always loved watches. Men nowadays will say, why do you need a watch? It is totally redundant. You have your phone in your pocket. There's like digital. What do you even need that for at all? I mean, mostly you just have a phone, right? Pshaw, I say to those people, like, this watch doesn't need to be plugged in. Stinking runs on the sun. This one does.
That's right.
Doesn't need to be plugged in. Looks good. Is not only a statement outwardly, it just feels good, right? To look down at the time as opposed to pulling your phone out, or instead of like clicking your dumb Apple Watch to have the screen come on that you got to plug in. It's all silly to me. Wear a watch. If you're a man, wear a watch.
So Vaer, V-A-E-R, VaerWatches.com is our sponsor. SURF15 is the promo code. It'll save you 15% on any purchase. And I first met these guys 3 years ago or something. A buddy, Need Essentials, who runs Need Essentials USA, put me in contact with him. He's like, dude, these guys, they're surfers. They come from the surf space. They created this watch brand. They're local. The watches are assembled in the USA. Like, you guys should potentially consider working together. And we did. They bought some podcast advertising on Surf Splendor, sent me a watch, and I loved it, and I like what they were doing, but I wasn't into watches, let's say. But I did a barrel or gnaw with you at some point. And I was like, hey, what about, I don't know if it was expensive watches or mechanical watches or what it was, but you gave me the full sales pitch.
Watches.
Then a bunch of listeners chimed in, and they're like, oh, dude, I'm super into watches. Here's the things that you should consider, or here's the reasons why I'm into it. Gave me a couple passion stories of I inherited this watch from my dad or whatever it was. So I started paying attention. And I've been living in that space a little bit. Not really buying in that space, but living, kind of paying attention to what's what. And I fully understand the passion for it. And for me, what I've kind of, the bits and pieces that I've taken is the artistry of the mechanics of it and the stories behind the brands. You know, that's all interesting to me as well. But the mechanics behind it is like these is it horticulture?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Horticulture?
Horticulture is
plants.
Plants, yeah.
But
yeah.
I think it's horticulture maybe
something.
is the watch.
Yeah.
Whatever. That creating these tiny, tiny, tiny mechanics, and there's jewels that are powering it, or
crazy.
Yeah, all of that stuff is like, whoa, that's
you have like
fascinating.
A miracle on your wrist.
And they've been doing it since way before technology really permitted.
Yep.
All of that is fascinating to me. So, and then you look at the aesthetics and the styles, and all that becomes a secondary kind of interesting thing. And then, you know, pilots using them and explorers using them and divers using them, astronauts. Yeah, exactly.
James Bond.
Yeah, all of that storytelling then becomes really interesting to me. So I've really developed an appreciation. So Vaer then reached out to me again a couple of months ago, and they're like, dude, we've been loving the podcast. We would love to be involved again. And I'm like, it's funny you should say that, because I've been tracking the watch world, and I really admire the way that you guys have managed your business as well. And they go, we've got this solar watch that we're introducing, and so we would love to get one to you, and if you're interested, talk about it and all that sort of stuff. So what it is obviously there's quartz watches and there's mechanical watches. Quartz watches run on a battery. Mechanical watches are you wind them to get them going, but then the mechanism, there's like a weight inside that basically when you move your wrist, it spins and it winds the watch so that you never have to wind it unless you let it sit. Then it'll die, and you have to reset it and rewind it, which does become problematic if you don't wear the same watch every single day. Well, the solar watch has a solar cell under the dial, and that is what powers the watch. So you never need to change the battery. 6 hours of sunlight for that watch lasts 6 months.
That's like almost the difference between million and billion.
It almost is.
Yeah.
So if you then let it sit for a couple of weeks, no big deal. You put it on, it's still running.
Fantastic.
You don't have to rewind it or reset
I'll
it.
tell you, it's a beautiful watch. It's the exact right size face. Not too big, not too small.
38 millimeter.
38 millimeter. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Handsome.
Handsome. It's a great
Handsome watch.
It's a great watch. So you've got their solar watch. I've got their field watch that they sent me a couple years ago. And so we are fans. Veyer watches, free USA shipping, easy returns, 2-year warranty.
Can't lose.
Yeah, and of course 15% off with our code, which is SURF15. The SURF and then the numbers 15. No spaces. And so you get 15% off at Veyer, VAER, watches.com. I don't know if we even need to say it anymore, but athleticgreens.com/surf. It's right here.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
Right. Okay. We're back, Chaz Smith, with today's installment of True Grit or Clickbait Crap.
Let's go.
Surf fans collectively hallucinate wedding bells as Gisele Bündchen retreats to bucolic Costa Rican peninsula, where Kelly Slater just so happens to sit on board of Ayahuasca Life Advancement Center.
Coincidence? I don't think so.
I think not.
I don't think so at all. I really liked remembering that Kelly Slater does sit on the board of an ayahuasca.
I didn't know he's on the board.
Yeah, we did this story 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I remember he did ayahuasca. I didn't know he was on the board.
Yeah, he's on the board of this place. So and not just in Costa Rica. No, it is on the same peninsula in Costa Rica, both the Life Advancement Center and Gisele's home. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it's all very, I don't believe in coincidence anymore, David Lee Scales. This is fate.
Wow.
It is fate.
Bold words. Has Kelly come out right and said that he does ayahuasca?
He did. He did
a video with them, like a little testimonial,
yeah.
but he never said that he did it there.
I mean, I think it was so heavily hinted.
Yeah, it was.
I think he said, like, I drank a medicinal herb or something.
He said, he talked about all the benefits of his time at the retreat.
Yeah.
And that's what the retreat does.
Yes.
And so it'd be hard to imagine him not doing it.
Yes.
But I would like to hear more.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we'll get it. Hopefully we'll get to. Hopefully he's down there right now with Gisele doing ayahuasca.
I would like to hear, her experience doing it too.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it?
No. You?
No.
Yeah.
I've heard really interesting things.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it.
I'm not.
I'm not necessarily thinking about doing it. You know, I'm certainly not going to plan a trip to go do it. But the benefit that I hear people talking about is fascinating to me.
Being smarter, getting better brains.
I don't think it does any of that.
Oh, oops.
It just gives you access to, or I think the main thing I've heard is like removal of the ego, you know, like, or the trauma, like all of the things that have maybe impeded your emotional development more than intellectual. It's more like an emotional blockades that you've experienced. Like remove all of that and you just see the world in all the beautiful ways that you weren't able to see it because you become cynical based on your trauma.
I don't want to lose my cynicism, David Lee Scales.
You already are. It's slowly eroding through parenthood or old age or something.
Chaz is not grit.
Through athleticgreens.com/surf.
Health and vitality.
Mm-hmm. And whoop. Okay, so that was clickbait or not?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say...
But surf fans collectively hallucinate wedding bells?
Well, I mean, mostly me, but yeah. Okay, clickbait.
The story is Gisele's in Costa Rica, basically.
Yeah, you're right.
Kelly has nothing to do with it.
You're right.
But it was good because it reminded us about the ayahuasca thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then clickbait or true grit number 2. Last remaining vestige of once great surfer magazine Buck's woke culture returns to butts and boobs heyday by launching Surfer the Girl contest featuring scantily clad women who don't actually surf.
This one, we have another one, a follow-up coming back. This event happened already. It was like last May, I think. So we can announce the winner. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty excited.
I was dying to know who won.
I'm pretty excited. But the real truth is, Rip Curl did scrub their logo. So they went on this contest that already happened and removed their logo. and removed references.
Oh, so once you wrote about it,
They were
then
gone.
Rip Curl went back and scrubbed
Unless
it?
I read it wrong, but
So were they a presenting sponsor?
yeah, they were presenting sponsor, and the winning girl won a $1,500 or $1,000 or something, and a $500 Rip Curl gift card. I went back 2 days later to see, and I saw no Rip Curl logo where it was originally, and I was like, oh. And then I went in and saw that the winner won $1,000.
Oh my gosh.
Rip Curl gift card.
So Rip Curl thought it was a good idea to be involved back then, and the times have changed, and now they're like, we don't want to be associated.
Yeah, and I think it probably wasn't a thing that got dealt with at the international level. It's
Right.
probably the regional Florida
Right.
Quicksilver brand manager was like, yeah, the shop. It was probably the local Rip Curl Jacksonville shop.
Right.
Threw in the $500 gift card, marketing, whatever. And then Beach Grit does the story. And then Rip Curl head HQ, Brooke
Makes
Ferris, phenomenal, just says, what in the world is this? What in the world is it? How did you let this happen? And so went in and scrubbed.
Amazing. So the story here, though, is that Surfer Magazine held a bikini contest.
It did.
Girls, send in your bikini shots, and we will pick the hottest chick.
And it was when you look at the menagerie of photos, it's Surfer the Girl contest, right?
Right.
Not one of them apparently surfs. One is holding, or a couple are holding skateboards, like sexily. Did you look at the pictures?
Only the one large photo you had with all the little thumbnails.
Yeah.
I didn't actually zoom in.
I mean,
on
it's
any of them.
the whole contest, all fine and good. Bikini contest, right? Like, I'm no whatever, like objectify women, objectify men, right? Go
Objectify
watch
yourself. I don't mind.
Yeah, go watch Thunder from Down Under. But for Surfer the Bar, to call this thing Surfer the Girl and just have it be a straight up, that was the funny thing to me, right? It wasn't like Surfer the Bar is having a bikini contest. No, they really went out of their way to brand it Surfer the Girl.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that we like to think that the culture has shifted so much.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is offensive that they're having this. Open up Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And the most followed people on Instagram are girls
Bikini.
posting those photos.
Sure.
And then turning that in, by the way, Emrata, turning that into a massive career.
I mean,
you know what I mean? It's like, we haven't come far at all.
Completely.
We're deeper in the hole than we were back then when it was only in a once a month magazine.
I think the only thing that is properly offensive is calling it Surfer the Girl.
Maybe so.
Like-
Maybe that's it.
I mean, that's the Surfer the Bar having a bikini contest is not offensive. Nobody expects them to do anything, right? The fact though that it is still attached to Surfer, and the fact that Surfer website as a zombie website is still alive, like somebody's still writing Surfer for Surfer. They still make stories and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's crazy.
It's really weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah. But not clickbait, I'm going to say. It was, I mean, the fact that
It is a story. It's a funny story.
the fact that it happened already, but again, Negatron wrote a wonderful, because that's where I got the Negatron sent me. Hey, look at this thing. And so then I wrote the story and then wrote another one. And then he wrote the third one, The Beach Grit Way. Oops, already happened.
I wish I had the meme right in front of me, because with memes, so much of the humor is in the precise wording.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to word it correctly, and then it probably won't be that funny. But there was a funny meme a couple months ago that I saw. It was actually just like the Twitter screenshot, or the Twitter post with somebody responding to the post. And it was some woman, and she was like, there's nothing weirder than like grown adult males, married males with kids who follow a bunch of young girls on Instagram posting bikini shots. And the married adult male with kids chimed in, and he's like, well, let me try to explain it to you. Oftentimes these women post photos of themselves in bikinis with excellent bodies. And it turns out that's what's appealing to me. And so that's why I follow, and that's why I scroll.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Duh.
It's true.
Duh. Story as old as time.
Yep.
That's exactly partially why this platform exists, partially why that girl is posting it, partially why that guy is. Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Why did I ever think that we've evolved past this?
It's exactly why I'm watching Killer Sally right now.
So good. Dude. It's so good. I mean, it's bizarre, but so good.
A lot of hot bods though.
I don't know about that. Depends how you define hot. Are you watching Love is Blind?
It's funny enough. I started oddly.
It's really good.
I got sucked in.
It's terribly good.
It's weird. I haven't been sucked into a TV show in a long time based on like reading things about it or just seeing it pop up in the headlines or whatever. But Love is Blind, for whatever reason, the other day, like 2 nights ago or whatever, was sitting there, put it on, was watching. Daughter came in, looked at it, looked at me, looked at it, said, "You're watching Love is Blind?" I felt so much shame that I turned it off and said, no, I was just on. It just happened to be on. I don't know. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back secretly. I'm going to...
So your wife doesn't watch?
No, but should we?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is trash TV.
Yeah,
I shouldn't even say that. It is presented as trash TV, but there's a lot of
meat on them bones.
Really
great. I'm excited.
It really is a fascinating sociological experiment.
I'm going to come out of the closet then. I'm going to come out of the closet as a
bring your daughter along.
Yeah, I will. I'll bring the wife along too. Yeah. That'll be tonight's viewing. Will be Love is Blind.
And I think there's couple seasons, so you can go back and binge if you want, but start with the current one.
Yeah.
And I will say, so last night it was the season finale with a reunion. We watched the season finale. There is a scorched earth denial at the altar. I won't tell you who it is, but they end up at the altar together, and you don't know if they're going to say I do or I don't. And there is not only an I don't, but a full scorched earth, like I don't, for these reasons.
So I read,
burns it down.
I read today, I think about it. Was it about eating?
No.
Wasn't about food?
No.
Wasn't about you're fat and don't eat? Is that somebody else? Okay.
That's not, no, that's.
Okay, great. I'm excited. Now you made me excited to bring the whole family and the neighbor along for the ride on Love is Blind.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was very good TV.
Great.
Very entertaining. Are you watching White Lotus?
Yes.
So good, dude.
Not as happy as last season, though.
Oh,
I'm going, I need the maitre d' from last season. I know that we can't have him, but like...
gosh, he was so good.
The Italian...
The concierge?
Yeah,
dude?
the concierge.
Yeah.
The Italian ain't really doing it for me, and I'm watching. I am watching, but I am not as smitten as last year.
Is anybody better than Jennifer Coolidge? She's perfectly cast.
She's perfectly cast. I love her, love that character. In season 1, I thought she was, as one of the cast, was better. So far, she's like the main character of this. The thing is like really revolving around her, and I don't like her as well in that. I like her as sort of comedic relief, or I don't know, the arrogant guy last year was way better than the whatever computer pro or whatever he is, the rich guy, newly rich guy. Like, I just like everyone better last season.
I don't disagree with that. I like Sicily better than Maui.
Yeah.
So it's just so much to look at.
Yeah.
Just every scene, I'm like drooling over the character that is Sicily.
Don't you want to be there?
Yes.
It's man and woman versus nature.
It really is. Jennifer Coolidge, though, I agree with you. Like, she's much better as a side character than main. But I'm watching her going, who else could they cast in this role?
It's
just like perfection. There's nobody else that could play this.
It's a matter because she's doing, I think, Old Navy commercials
is
now.
She?
Yeah, but like, so she comes on, and I laugh when she comes on. What a great career story! Like, who would have ever looked at her and thought she's gonna, like, 20 years ago said this one is going to be basically a household name.
Stifler's mom.
Yeah, Stifler's mom is going to be a household name.
Yeah.
As like with legit comedic chops and like a proper actor.
I know.
Weird.
It really is.
That's again, didn't come up through the Challenger Series.
Nope. She was always world champ.
Yep.
Just waiting to be. All right. Barrel or nah. Wearing an I voted sticker. We had Election Day 2 days ago here in the U.S.
I'm going to go. It is super duper no barrel. No barrel, David Lee Scales.
I agree.
It is dumb. Voting is not dumb, but the reason for it, any reason for wearing it is bad. You're either trying to shame someone into voting because you voted, I voted. You are arrogantly proud of something that is neither difficult nor takes talent. You could, if you felt like, get your ballot, scribble on the whole thing, like, or just
the sticker,
close your eyes and put in dots, right? Like, it doesn't say. I mean, if somebody was going to make a sticker that said, "I thoughtfully read the voter information guide and carefully considered all my options and voted," something like that, then I'd say, well, you're an asshole for wearing that, but at least that's something, right? You did work. Like, I voted means nothing.
I'm anti the sticker too.
Yeah.
It's so, it's a virtue signaling kind of thing where it's like, good. It's a civic duty.
Yep.
Go ahead and do it but you don't need to outwardly brag to everybody else that you did it. And what's worse is then posting it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Here's a selfie. Hey, everybody, I voted. I just want to make you all aware that I am honoring my civic duty. It's like, so I paid my taxes. Should we do that in April too? We'll get that sticker.
Yeah.
I ate well today. Like, I don't need to know about all the things that you did that make you an adult. You know, like, hey, at the first of every month, paid my mortgage. Just want to let you all know. I'm going to Instagram about it. You know, it's so bizarre.
It's really true. And
why are you don't need to be that proud.
If your reason
is a basic thing.
If your reason is to shame other people into voting, do a better job than wearing a sticker. So do an Instagram video, double deuces, where you're sitting there in the barrel saying, hey, I just want to let everyone know this is an important election. I think it's really important that you're right. Like, if your point is to get people to vote, a lot better than wearing a dumb sticker, like with subtle clout.
Totally. It is bizarre.
Don't like it.
It is super bizarre. Yeah. And also has become so mainstream and acceptable that nobody, until you and I right now, nobody even shames it.
No.
It just is like everybody does it.
I'm going to start really.
And selfies about it. Like, people who never post a selfie otherwise, they're posting selfies about that and it's fully acceptable and cool.
I'm going to start guffawing anytime I pass someone on the street wearing an I voted sticker.
Punch him, dude. Punch him in the arm. Rip the sticker off.
Yeah.
Like, idiot.
Action.
I got more text messages this year than ever about, those
Political?
spam texts?
Oh my goodness. I mean, was it the Supreme Court that knocked that down? Who knocked that?
I have no idea.
Privacy? I hate it.
I should have voted against that. I'm now voting against anybody who sends me a text message.
Good.
Michelle Wu comes through and it's like,
Gone.
hey, Michelle Wu, blah. You know what? Voting for your
Gone.
opponent right now.
Yep. Oh, you should respond that way. I'm going to start.
I thought about doing it.
I keep getting called Colette. Hey, Colette.
Oh, Colette used to have your phone number?
I don't know. Colette must have. But
weird.
I've had my phone number for 12 years. So these banks, I would imagine.
Well, Lauren's like, you have to reply, stop, and then they can't legally send you texts anymore. Even if it's true, they just send it from a different number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, so I literally wrote like stop five different texts that came through. And then I just realized
it's a losing battle.
Pointless. I'm wasting so much time just by writing stop.
It is a great idea though, to respond. You are annoying. I am voting for your opponent. Because then it might work.
Maybe they get the message.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
They just got engagement is what they got.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you're going to get like 30 more.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're both not on wearing your I voted stickers.
Don't do it.
Barrel or nah. We came off of the surfer, the girl conversation. People Magazine also 3 days ago.
Sexiest man, Chris Evans.
Barrel or nah. Sexiest man alive competitions.
Barrel.
Really?
To big barrel. Yeah, for sure. It is so weird. But such a American institution. Like, when I saw the headline for the People announces World's Sexiest Man, I just click right on that. Who was it this year?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, click right on it, not out of anything other than genuine curiosity. Who was this year's World's Sexiest Man?
Yeah.
I'd like to know. It was Chris Evans. Then I think about it. I think, is that really the World's Sexiest Man?
Never.
Definitely not.
It's a little bit of a popularity contest always.
It is, but sometimes it is. When Brad Pitt wins, for example, then it's the World's Sexiest Man. I think you're undeniably, when George Clooney won in his prime, World's Sexiest Man. I think you can, so that's what I think is interesting about it, is there's real objectivity to it, right? It seems subjective, but there's objectively a World's Sexiest Man, I think.
In one person's eyes.
No, I think objectively, I'm going to say, and they got it wrong this year. It's not, in fact, Chris Evans. It's probably Jason Momoa or Chris Hemsworth. It's one of those two. But
So there always is a popularity contest component because when Brad Pitt won, it was also in a year where he was in Ocean's 11 or something.
Yes,
like that.
but he's also objectively the world's sexiest man.
Yeah, exactly.
that
So
year.
so you're right. So
Chris Evans is not,
happens
right?
to be at the height of his career, which made him eligible in the contest, but he happens to not be as handsome as Idris Elba, who won 3 years ago, because Idris doesn't have a movie coming out this year.
Objectively, though, I think you could do they should do a World Sexiest Man finals day at Lower Trestles, because then where you get the 5, because then I'm gonna say Jason Momoa, Chris Hemsworth, you could probably throw a couple more in there that I'm not thinking, and then really battle it out and actually get to the World's Sexiest Man that year.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a dance off or some sort of battle.
I think we could get there.
A surf off.
And then we could actually know. But
Chris Hemsworth would win the surf off.
Yeah,
I know that much.
for sure.
Yeah.
The people's version, though, it oftentimes feels like they're just throwing they put up the movie posters of who has something coming out. They throw a dart. Oh, okay, it's Chris Evans this year. Because they're all obviously handsome, right?
Totally.
I mean, movie stars tend to be handsome, let's be honest.
Tend to be.
I don't think Steve Buscemi will ever win the World's Sexiest Man.
No matter what movie he's in. I love him, though.
Man, I had a neighbor once up in LA, walk the dog, and she would say, went on for months in my memory of she'd come out and say, you look like an actor, you look like someone, and she just couldn't remember who. And then one day she came out and said, I got it. And I was so excited to hear which handsome movie star I looked like. She said, Steve Buscemi.
Shut up. That's hilarious.
Yep.
I do get various ones, but the one that I've gotten a lot is Matthew Perry.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm always like, which
version?
The coked out version?
Yeah.
The overweight version? Now
Yeah.
he's the plastic surgery
Yeah.
version? Like, what do you? And they're like, no. I like him a lot. This is a compliment. And I'm like, I'm not convinced.
Which one?
Yeah.
I've started to get, I've been Tony Hawked my whole long time, but I've just started to get Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Oh, interesting.
Weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions, though, as we're objectifying men and women.
Yep.
I thought that like the drum that People magazine and whoever else beats, especially recently, is not to judge superficially, and that beauty comes from within and all that kind of stuff.
All
right?
sizes are beautiful.
Yeah.
Lizzo, all this stuff.
Exactly. And I'm like, I believe that as wholeheartedly as any person on the planet. Like if I'm choosing my partner, I absolutely, what is inside counts and matters, but I have to
Be attracted.
Let's get it this way. Before I ever got to know Lauren really deeply what's on the inside, I had to want to bang her for a long time to get to that point. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Because anybody that I don't want to bang, I'm not going to spend a bunch of dinners together chatting them up to learn what's on the inside. You absolutely have to want to have sex with a person for an extended period of time. I'm going to say hours and hours of conversations to ever learn what's on the inside. Because nobody gives you what's on the inside on first blush. They're going to give you the best version of what's on the inside.
Here's the thing to think about, though, is the only reason you wanted to bang Lauren is because for your entire life, society had put her body type forward as the ideal or an ideal, right? For you. Whereas
I hear what you're saying.
You know, like when you look at paintings, Renaissance paintings of who were the attractive women, right? They were
Rubenesque.
Fattos, yeah.
Like, Zoftig is the appropriate word, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But so I could see though how, you feel that what you're attracted to is inherently what you're attracted to, but it also has been layered over with culture, right?
Sure.
Like culture has built this thing.
I can accept that.
And so I see there's an interest in culture moving that forward, right? Into, which is what they're trying to do right now. Like where I have a bit of a problem with it, which is going to sound rude, but like real obesity is like a medical problem.
Oh yeah.
Totally. And so pushing like super fat as this is body positivity. That's unhealthy, right? Like I'm not talking bigger. I'm talking humongous, right?
Or morbidly obese.
Yeah. Morbidly obese.
Medically problematic.
Yes, exactly. And to say
it's not okay to say that that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's like not cool. Other than that, though, I am pleased with culture moving ideals forward. But in this day and age, on that note, I suppose Chris Evans couldn't be a more kind of bland Caucasian male.
I know, it's kind of shocking
from
that
his
he won.
name to everything.
Yeah.
Like a bland Caucasian won as this is again the ideal for men. A like classically good-looking Caucasian man from circa 1890 through today.
Yeah, it is surprising that he won. So let me ask you this though: have your personal preferences for what you find attractive changed from the time you were a kid until now?
A bit.
Really?
Yours? Yeah. Yeah.
What were they and what are they? Like, give me an example of what they would. Who was the archetype back then versus now?
So at 18, 19 through 20s, probably ideal archetype was Pam Anderson.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember Pam Anderson at her prime and me being confused that people thought she was pretty.
Oh yeah, no.
I was like, I don't get it.
It was like a decade plus of Pam Anderson as a number one.
Wow.
In terms of archetype. And now it would be like it's a sophisticated woman now. It is not a buxom blonde, right? Like
Amal Clooney.
More Amal Clooney.
Jackie O.
Yes. Yeah. More in that vein. I'm trying to think of an actress who would really fit the bill. But it's like a classily put together woman who doesn't have huge boobs and all that.
Does hair color matter?
No.
Skin tone?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a classy, svelte woman.
Interesting. Mine have not changed at all. I don't.
Really?
think. Yeah.
Same.
I remember like.
What if they change now?
Could be. Could happen, I suppose.
Lauren, sorry
Some
about it.
Variety, finally. No, I remember like being young and like Daisy Fuentes. I remember like seeing maybe it was a Sports Illustrated or something. I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
Kathy Ireland, and then later, maybe Angelina Jolie, like that. So it was always kind of brunette, not the buxom blonde thing at all, ever. And those are still my kind of benchmarks. And they're now different actresses or different whatever would be the archetypes.
But it's the same archetype.
Yeah. And not far off from who I married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a hair color preference. Don't have a skin tone.
I don't either. I can appreciate.
Don't have a racial preference.
Yeah. Me neither. Awesome. Well, everybody is open for objectification.
Yeah. Great.
Based on you and I.
Barrel.
Final barrel and all came from a listener. He said, Chris from Tampa.
Mm.
Yes, Tampa is what he wrote. I came home to find Laird's superfood creamer in my fridge that my wife bought. I was like, what the F is this? Do you even know who Laird is? A few days later, we were out of almond milk, and I tried it. It's actually really tasty with coffee. Not just okay, but pretty darn good when you compare it to alternative creamers. So, is it okay for me to admit that I actually like Laird's superfood creamer? Should I be proud and push this to my friends? I am very conflicted. Please help me see the light. Thanks for any help you can provide. Keep up the work.
Barrel. I'm going to go big barrel
Embrace
on Laird's superfood creamer. The thing about Laird's superfood creamer is I don't know how I got off the path of making fun of it. It was never necessary to make fun of it. It's a coffee creamer. I don't use coffee creamers. I drink mine.
Laird's mockable. That's kind of where that fell.
Yeah, sort of. But have at it. Like your coffee creamer, AG1 doesn't make a coffee creamer.
No, they don't.
And stirring AG1 into your coffee would be gross.
Yeah.
So if you're a creamer kind of person, I've heard that it tastes good.
I have too.
I've had people
Every
say,
once in a while this pops up.
It makes me cringe, but I just have to tell you I like it. I'm like, don't be ashamed. I'm glad that it's good.
This is you admitting that you watch Love is Blind to your daughter and your wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Just embrace it.
Come out of the closet. You like the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah. And it'll help out the company a little bit. They need the help.
They do. They need a boost.
Yeah.
Help them out. Go do Laird a solid.
I drink black coffee, so I will never feel the conflict that Chris from Tampa feels, but
drink it black like my men.
So Laird, I sent you the text message, but
I saw it.
I know. So Laird,
Epic.
we made fun of. Oh, we talked.
We said we gave good advice, like steering people away from Laird Superfood and then go invest in AG1.
Right. We said that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Laird chimed in on Instagram, DM'd me, and was like, thanks for the support or not. Appreciate any publicity we can get, but I'll just let you know it's a lot harder to do something rather than just talk about it or something to that effect.
Well played, Laird.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, God, he's such a gentleman.
Yeah. It was a gentlemanly, it wasn't hurt feelings.
Yeah.
It wasn't like snotty. It was like a genuine, like, thanks or not, and just from experience, this is hard.
Yeah.
Which made me put a tear in my eye. I thought, Laird, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the damage we have double-handedly done to your brand. And I'm going to start today to begin to repair.
Well, and you just did.
Yep.
You barreled his creamer.
Go buy, people.
I replied back and I was like, dude, you're never not a gentleman. Totally appreciate your engagement. When do you want to come on the podcast for me to interview you?
Crickets.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's fine.
Yep.
I wouldn't expect an insult to lead to an actual interview, but I also thought,
Why are you DMing me?
no, this would be a perfect interview now. There's a little bit of conflict.
Sure.
I feel comfortable backing up my statements.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and discuss them.
It's just like when I asked Jonah on the podcast.
Did he ever reply or send a
remember?
message?
He's DM'd, a long DM.
No.
Yeah.
We never talked about this.
What? We didn't? That's
No.
where he said Derek asked him on, and he DM'd back and said, why would I go on your show? Like, all you do is make fun of me for being fat or something like that. And so I jumped into the DMs and said, Jonah, this is Chaz here, respectfully, and asked him questions. Like I said, if we don't make fun of you or whatever, because we hadn't really at that, we were pointing stuff out. And I said, whatever I said, like, this is a broader issue of surf culture and we could have a great conversation about all of this stuff, right? Like, you knew coming in, blah, 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 whatever I said. I thought I was eloquent. And then he wrote back this, we went back and forth, but that's where he told me, I hope you find happiness on your trying to find the road to being funny or something like that.
This is ringing a bell. I apologize that I forgot.
Yeah.
I forget a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Though. That's a good line from him.
It was, I'll have to go back and find it exactly, but it was like trying to find the road to being funny or something like that.
He should know. He's funny.
He's funny. He's a funny man.
Yeah. All right. Hey, long show today.
Super show.
Yeah. Gargantuan.
Yeah.
But
Power pod.
I think pretty substantial. Yeah. Covered a lot of ground here.
Did. A lot of good work.
Yeah. Thanks to Album. Support our work on surfsplendorpodcast.com by subscribing. Get yourself entered to win that Dennis Jarvis Fireball Fish.
Art.
Written to great success by one Tom Curran.
Art.
Are indeed to great success by one Tom Curran. And then, of course, athleticgreens.com/surf. And, of course, VayerWatches.com for 15% off. Use code SURF15.
Good looking watch.
Yeah, pretty awesome stuff. All right, Chaz, until next week.
Bon voyage.